shooter, what happened, the fact it was a single bullet, the way he was able to put together his gun, dismantle his gun, get away, and so on. The weird text messaging with his transitioning boyfriend and so on. What do you make of it all? Do you think there are unanswered questions with this? Does it make sense to you?
Oh, absolutely there are unanswered questions. It doesn't make sense to me completely, and I think that's why there are conspiracy theories that are popping up around the shooting. The problem is that, like so much of what happens in the real world, there are areas that are protected, areas of information that are not available to the public, so the public doesn't get a full picture. You were just talking about the emergence of new media. Part of the unexpected or possibly unproductive side effect of that new media is that we now know more of what we don't know.
A former CIA agent just went on TV and said something that made my jaw drop. He looked at all the facts about Charlie Kirk's death, and you know what he said? It doesn't make sense to me completely. Is it probable that he did it alone? It's not really probable. Now hold on, this isn't some random guy on the internet making stuff up. This is a trained CIA officer, a man who spent years learning how assassinations actually work. And he's saying something's off. But here's what really got me. He's not even the only one. The guy who killed Osama bin Laden? Yeah, that guy. He's asking the same questions. It's been 73 days since Charlie Kirk was shot and killed at UC Berkeley. The FBI says they got their guy. A 22-year-old kid, acted alone, case closed. They even caught him in just 33 hours. Pretty fast, right? But now, former CIA agents, Navy SEALs, and military experts are coming out of the woodwork, and they're all saying the same thing. The official story, it doesn't add up. Look, I'm not here to tell you what to believe. I'm just gonna show you what these trained professionals are saying. And honestly, some of it is pretty hard to ignore. In this video, you'll hear why a former CIA spy thinks this looks like a professional hit. You'll see why the Navy SEAL who took out bin Laden says something doesn't stack up. And you'll learn about all the weird details that nobody seems to want to talk about. By the end of this, you'll understand why so many people are asking questions that the FBI doesn't want to answer. Let's get into it. Now, before we dive deep into all this, note that I'm going to cover what happened to Charlie Kirk and how he was shot, as already most of the people know about it. Instead, I'm going to respect your time and going to go straight in this video. So according to the official story, now here's what the FBI wants you to believe. They say a kid named Tyler Robinson did it, 22 years old, acted completely alone. He used his grandfather's old bolt-action rifle, and they caught him in just 33 hours because his own dad turned him in. Case closed, move along, nothing to see here. But a lot of people aren't buying it, and I gotta be honest with you. After hearing what these experts have to say, I get why. Alright, let's talk about Andrew Bustamante. This guy is the real deal. Former CIA covert intelligence officer. He's not just some talking head, he actually did the work. He went on Piers Morgan's show, and what he said, man, it raised a lot of eyebrows.
From a technical point of view about the shooting itself, for a 22-year-old who's not military trained, to be able to get up on that roof, put together a gun, then dismantle it, fire off one shot with a bolt-action rifle that belonged to his grandfather, reportedly, and get away. But to be able to assassinate somebody in that clinical manner, does that seem likely, or is there something we don't know about what this kid was doing before all this?
We look at everything in intelligence through a lens of probability. Anything is a possibility, but what are the probabilities that it played out the way that we're being told? So when I think of his age, and I think about the fact that he grew up in a hunting family, and I think about the fact that he was familiar with that particular weapon, he was familiar with the campus. He had what we call the advantage of area familiarity, area fam. He had all of those benefits that Charlie and Charlie's team did not have. Plus, of course, he had the element of surprise on his side. But when it comes to the technical elements of being able to handle that weapon, I tend to agree more with Rob. It doesn't make sense. How, unless he spent hours in premeditation.
First thing he pointed out, there's been basically no new information since September 19th. Think about that for a second. This case is making international news day after day, but we're not getting any new details. No autopsy report, no clear motive, nothing. Bustamante straight up said, "That's weird, man. How is this so significant that we're having national days of silence for Charlie Kirk, but we can't get new information?" And here's the part that really got me. He talked about the actual shooting itself. Picture this, a 22-year-old kid, no military training. He gets up on a roof, puts together a rifle, fires one shot with a bolt-action weapon, hits his target, then takes the gun apart and escapes, all without getting caught. Bustamante's question was simple. Does that seem likely? He said, "We look at everything in intelligence through a lens of probability. Is it possible he prepared enough to do this? Yeah. But is it probable he did it alone? It's not really probable. And look, when a guy who was trained by the CIA tells you something doesn't add up, maybe we should listen." Okay, but Bustamante isn't alone here. And this is where it gets really interesting. Piers Morgan also talked to Rob O'Neill. Now, if that name doesn't ring a bell, let me fill you in. Rob O'Neill is the Navy SEAL who killed Osama bin Laden, the actual guy who pulled the trigger on the most wanted man in the world. So yeah, this dude knows a thing or two about taking shots.
When I watched that horrific video, he was obviously dead before he hit the ground, but the questions immediately started to come to me. That was not an entry wound that we saw. We saw an exit wound. So where'd that bullet come from? You don't bleed like, and I've shot guys closer than the camera was. And an entry wound doesn't look like that. An exit wound does. Why did his shirt move the way it did? When I've shot people, their shirts didn't move like that. And then the initial reaction was, well, he was obviously wearing body armor and it was deflection. One, no. He wasn't wearing body armor. And two, it doesn't deflect like that off of body armor. Why was his shirt moving from right to left? Why were people being interviewed saying, yeah, they came from my left to right, from his right to left, immediately shut down? And then did they tear the crime scene down immediately? Just right off the bat, from seeing it, knowing he was dead, saying a lot of this is bad, not even getting into the soliloquy of text messages that 22-year-olds don't send their trans lover.
If you were doing that with all your training, you were one of the most elite guys in special forces in American history. If you were dismantling this precise rifle.
And here's what O'Neill said that blew my mind. He said couldn't have assembled and taken apart that weapon in the time they claimed this kid did it. A Navy SEAL, one of the most trained warriors on the planet, saying he couldn't do what this random 22-year-old allegedly did. Let that sink in for a minute. O'Neill also brought up the single-shot precision, the quick escape, the whole execution of it. Everything about it looked too clean, too professional. Now, I don't know about you, but when two guys, a CIA officer and the SEAL who got bin Laden, are both saying the same thing, that's hard to ignore. Here's another thing Bustamante pointed out. And honestly, this one creeped me out a little. The shooter had almost no digital footprint.
From a CIA point of view, when you encounter that, where someone tries to assassinate the President of the United States or a very high-profile figure, and when you dig into it, for a young person to have no digital footprint whatsoever, that to me is very, very odd.
Absolutely, there's hidden information there without a doubt. It's funny, my mind worked very similar to yours, Piers, when I started to research the elements that made up the Charlie Kirk assassination. I immediately was triggered to look back at Thomas Crooks, the one who tried to kill Donald Trump when he was on the campaign in Butler, Pennsylvania. Yeah. The parallels are very, very powerful, very humbling, right? You're talking about similar age groups. You're talking about high levels of intelligence. You're talking about a level of emotional IQ that made them actually well-liked in their community.
Right.
Think about this. It's 2024. Everyone's online. Everyone. Your grandma is on Facebook. Your little cousin is making TikToks. But this 22-year-old kid, basically invisible online. Bustamante said it straight up. There's hidden information there without a doubt. And here's what's really wild. Remember Thomas Crooks, the kid who tried to shoot Trump? Same thing. No digital trail, nothing. So now we have a pattern. Young shooter, no clear motive, no online presence, professional level execution. Sound familiar? Because it's starting to feel like we've seen this movie before. Now let's talk about something that Charlie's own security team brought up, because this part is nuts.
Put that kind of effort out, the team gets together, and then they authorize him to get the tattoo. And then they get to get a tattoo, and that, you know, brothers in Christ for eternity.
People need to understand that they do not have jurisdiction on the rooftops or the surrounding area. Their only jurisdiction on a campus is Charlie's physical proximity. And they were coordinating with local PD and campus PD to make sure all of those venues.
And
but
also
ultimately,
we don't have counter snipers. We don't have the Secret Service.
Right.
I ask our guys, are you believers? We have no ties to Israel or Mossad or any other one. We're Americans.
The head of Charlie's security detail explains something really important. The shooting position was extremely precise. He said, 3 meters to the right or 10 meters to the left, there was no shot. The shooter found the one spot on that entire campus where he could make the shot work, the one angle out of the whole place. The security team said they routinely take photos of potential sniper positions before events. They know what to look for. And their conclusion? It had to have been rehearsed. Now here's another thing. Private security doesn't have jurisdiction on surrounding rooftops. They don't have counter snipers like the Secret Service does. They had to rely on campus police to secure the area around them.
Those venues, but
also
ultimately,
we don't have counter snipers. We don't have the Secret Service.
Right.
I ask our guys, are you believers? We have no ties to Israel or Mossad or any other one. We're Americans.
So you've got a shooter who found the perfect spot, a security gap, and a shot that had to have been planned out ahead of time. That's not a random kid with a grudge. That's something else entirely. Okay, now we gotta talk about some of the evidence in this case, because some of it is just weird. First up, the engraved bullets. Yeah, you heard that right. The shooter allegedly carved messages into his bullets explaining why he did it. What kind of assassin does that? Like, hey, just in case you're wondering why I did this, let me leave you a little note on the bullet. Come on. Then there's the text messages. Texts surfaced where the shooter supposedly said, "Remember, it was only me." Almost like he wanted everyone to believe he acted alone. That doesn't feel suspicious to you? And here's my favorite part, the rifle in the woods. So this kid escapes the roof, takes apart his weapon, runs into the woods, then reassembles it there to hide it. That's not normal behavior. That's textbook professional tradecraft. Then there's the capture. The FBI was so proud of catching this guy in 33 hours. They said they used the full weight of the federal government. Okay, but isn't that kind of fast? Almost too fast? I don't know, man. Every piece of this case feels like it was gift wrapped with a bow on top. And in my experience, when things are too clean, that's usually when you should start asking questions. And look, it's not just Bustamante raising flags. There's another former CIA agent living off the grid in Panama. And this guy has been sending detailed lists of all the things that don't make sense about this case.
Practicing with a blindfold, taking that weapon apart, after you pull off that shot, like under that amount of stress, there's no possible way he would have been able to break down that rifle. You need so many tools. You need an Allen key, you need screwdrivers, you need all these other little tools to disassemble that rifle, and it's still not going to fit in the fucking backpack.
Yeah.
So the fact that he was like running off the roof immediately after, and like it just does, none of that stuff adds up. And then reassembled it so he could hide it in a towel in the woods.
Yeah.
None of this story is making any sense.
It doesn't make any sense, dude. Mm-hmm. Even like that old man who after the shot was
did
like,
you see the footage of him?
No. What are you referring to?
Well, so there's the footage of him, like his like pants fell off. First of all, like right after.
His military background makes him say the official timeline is impossible to believe. His words, not mine. Danny Jones also did a whole podcast episode about this with Killian Dunn. The question everyone keeps asking is simple. Who trained this kid? Because let's be real. You don't just wake up one day and know how to execute something like this. That takes practice. That takes knowledge. That takes training. Now, I gotta bring up something that's been bugging me. The similarities between this case and the Trump assassination attempt. Think about it. Both shooters were young, early 20s. Both were described as intelligent and liked in their community. Neither one had a clear motive. Both had zero digital footprint. Both executed their attacks from rooftops. Both used similar tactics. Bustamante even brought this up on Piers Morgan. He said, "The only equivalent story in recent years with even more unanswered questions is the young person who tried to assassinate Donald Trump." Now, I'm not saying these two cases are connected. I'm just saying, the pattern is weird, and patterns usually mean something. Look, I know some people are gonna watch this and say I'm just stirring up drama, but here's the thing, this matters. Joe Rogan said the celebrations that happened after Charlie's death pushed America closer to civil war. Those are strong words.
As I argue, he has a subscription to Curiosity. He's not party affiliated, but he had this warning for the left where he talked about that these celebrations, these vile celebrations over Charlie Kirk's assassination might push America to the brink. Let's watch.
Charlie Kirk gets shot and people are celebrating. Like, whoa, 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 whoa. You want people to die that you disagree with? Like, where are we right now on the scale of 1 to civil war? Where are we? Are we at 7? Because I thought we were at 5. I thought we were like 4 or 5. But after the Charlie Kirk thing, I'm like, oh, we might be like 7. This might be like step 7 on the way to a bona fide civil war.
Bill Maher said something that stuck with me. He said, Charlie Kirk was shot under a banner that said, "Prove me wrong." Too many people think the way to prove you wrong is to eliminate you. And that's the scary part, isn't it? We've reached a point where people are celebrating political violence. That's not okay, no matter what side you're on. What people want is simple: a transparent investigation, the autopsy report, answers about who this shooter really was, and a fair trial. Because if Tyler Robinson dies in custody before he can testify, that's going to raise a whole lot more questions. Here's the bottom line: 73 days later, and we still don't have real answers. The official story says it was a lone wolf, a random kid with a grudge. But former CIA agents, Navy SEALs, and military experts are all raising the same red flags. The execution was too clean. The evidence is too convenient. The digital footprint is too empty. And the questions, they're piling up. I'm not here to tell you what to believe, but I am here to show you what the professionals are saying. And right now, they're saying this doesn't add up. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you think. Do you believe the official story, or do you think there's more to this? I want to hear from you. And hey, if this video made you think, hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to see it. Subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next one.